Andrew's arrived.
It's 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, okay then. Well, I'd like to remind everyone of some of the instructions included in the remote meeting protocol. Everyone will be muted, and if you're asked to speak, you unmute yourself and speak, and then mute yourself when you're finished. If you have a question, press the virtual hand on the screen, and I'll invite you to speak one person at a time. Do not begin speaking until I invite you to. If you have a comment to make, you should only raise the symbol of a hand when I ask for comments. And again, you will be invited to speak one person at a time. If for any reason a member has cause to leave the meeting, then they must indicate this to me before leaving. Please raise your hand or send a message to the online chat. But I don't think we got online chat for planning anyway. The case law is quite clear. You are not allowed to vote if you haven't heard the full debate. So if your screen freezes but you have heard the whole debate, you may use your own discretion on whether or not to vote. However, if you did not hear the whole debate, then you cannot vote. When we come to the recommendations, you will be invited to vote. Please could I ask all officers and guests to turn off their cameras so that only elected members and lay members are on the screen. You should turn on your camera and microphone while you are speaking on an item, but please turn them back off again afterwards. Could I please ask Democratic Services to mute everyone and begin the recording that was referred to in the published agenda. So is everyone muted now? Oh well, good afternoon. Welcome to the Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council planning meeting. I'll just have to switch back to sorry about this. There we are. Welcome to the planning meeting of the 18th of November. Please note that today's meeting will be recorded. The recording will not be broadcast on the authority's internet, as it will only be used for training purposes by the Democratic Services Department. The public seating areas will be in view of the camera. Oh, this doesn't apply for remote anyway. We haven't got any members of the public here, have we? No. Oh, I missed that bit out then. So the first item on the agenda is apologies for absence.
We have none, Chair.
That's right. Second item on the agenda is declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? No. So the third item on the agenda, P200025, the former Adar site, Dragon Park, which includes engineering works, including provision of drainage and culvert outflow and raising the level of the land in the site area. So who's going to present this case? Is it David?
No, it's me, Chair. I'll present all of them, Chair. Sorry, I should have said that before, but I'll present all of them.
Right, you are then, yes.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Do you want the slideshow?
Not yet, no. So this application, as the Chair just said, is for engineering works, including the provision of a drainage channel, swale, culvert outflows, raising the level of the land and the creation of a site access. The application site and wider Dragon Park site is situated within a C2 flood zone. The flooding of the site would be caused by the Nant Canide, an ordinary watercourse located to the west of the site, and not, as you may expect, from the River Taff. The purpose of the development is to prevent flooding and remove the site from the C2 flood zone. This could then enable the site, enable the wider site, in fact, to be developed for residential employment purposes. Thanks, Dave. Can we have the slideshow? I'll just put the slideshow on so I can explain the site a little bit better.
Can everyone see that?
Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the site in front of you. The application site is outlined in red, and the wider Dragon Park site is outlined in blue there. If you go on to the next slide, Dave, that's the aerial view of it. As you can see, the majority of the wider site has been demolished. Many of the buildings on there have been demolished. But in the bottom corner of the site, you can see a remaining building and also a walkway across to the Hoover site. Thanks, Dave.
I see Gareth has got his hand up. Oh, he's put it back down again now, is he? Oh. Oh, sorry, Hugh, if you carry on.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks, Jay. Yeah, sorry. So there's the bottom of the site is accessed off a mini roundabout that serves Abercarnide. On the bottom picture there, you can see the building and actually part of the walkway that is to be demolished as part of this proposal. Thanks, Dave. So this is a plan. Sorry, it's a little bit small, but they are large plans. So as you can see on the western side of the site, there's the swale that's leading from north to south. At the bottom of the site, it enters via two fairly large culverts into the River Taff. The ditch itself and the raising the level of land are not significant in terms of their depth, but as I said, they needed to take water away from the site into the River Taff. Thanks, Dave. Right. Okay, thank you. So as a result of the consultation exercise and the publicity exercise undertaken, there's been no objections received. Suffice to say, the development of this proposal is essential to aid the regeneration of the brownfield derelict site. It will enable a sustainable method of flood management which would have positive impacts. Therefore, the application is recommended for permission, subject to the conditions highlighted on pages 11 to 16 of the report. Thank you, Chair.
Are there any questions? Clive Jones.
Thank you, Chair. My first question is on page 6 of the report, and it's under the heading Proposed Development, third paragraph down, which reads, the proposal also includes other engineering works which mainly involve minimal raising of the level of the land. Could one of the officers tell me how much the word minimal means? What height is that land going to be raised? Because I understand the whole of the site is on a floodplain.
Yeah, thank Chair. Okay, through you, if possible. Yeah, the raising the level of the land is minimal. It's no more than a metre in places, so it's more of a regrading rather than a major raising the level of land. It only has to come out of the floodplain a little bit to take it outside the C2 floodplain area, and that combined with the swale will hopefully take it out of the C2 flood zone area. If this application is permitted, and the site developed in accordance with the approved plan, there's another process that developers and the applicants will have to go through, and that's with Natural Resources Wales to submit an application for a flood map challenge to actually take it out of the C2 area. But yes, Councillor Jones, there's not a huge amount of raising the level of land. It's no more than a metre in height.
Okay, I've got another question, Chair, and this is on page 9, and it's under the heading Planning Considerations, and the last sentence of that says, this application has been specifically submitted in an attempt to overcome the current flooding issue to enable a mixed residential stroke business development. After this work has been undertaken, will that mean that flooding on this land is then very unlikely?
Yes, it's the application has been been subject to negotiation, a lot of negotiation with Natural Resources Wales. There's also a raft of information submitted with the application in terms of flood modelling and so on and so forth. As I previously said, once the development is hopefully carried out, there's another process to go through with Natural Resources Wales, which involves a flood map challenge, which is challenging the map, which shows it as a C2 area. And if all the evidence that they've submitted suggests that that map can be changed, then it's taken out of that C2 area, and that then no longer becomes a problematic area for development for residential or business use. Yeah.
And my last question is on page 10, under the heading, the impact on a primary trunk water main of strategic importance. I just read the first sentence there. It says Welsh Water has highlighted that a primary water main, as well as other sewers, which is of strategic importance, is in close proximity to the application site. Further down that paragraph, it reads, the developer owner has been asked to undertake a site investigation, which would include trial holes to accurately locate the assets. But to date, no such evidence has been submitted. So can someone explain to me exactly what they mean by the assets? Does that mean that they, for example, do they know exactly where the water main is? And do they know where all the other sewers are? Because I've put a question mark here as to what exactly does it mean to accurately locate the assets?
Yeah, it's Welsh Water assets. Obviously, one of the main water mains going through the valleys runs through part of the site. There's been quite a lot of in-depth discussions and negotiations with Welsh Water concerning this asset, and quite clearly they're concerned about the impact of the development on the strategic water main. With any Welsh Water asset, which are basically the pipes that go underground, they're not 100% sure where they're located. They haven't really got accurate details of where these pipes are. So the purpose of the conditions attached to the permission are to carry out survey works to accurately locate, not only accurately locate them, but also to ensure their future maintenance and to prevent harm to them going forward as well. So yeah, Welsh Water have recommended the conditions attached to the permission, but it's basically to accurately locate them. It's often, I know this is a bigger water main, but sometimes when you're developing an extension to your property and there's a water main within the area, it may be shown in an area on a map, but it's actually nowhere near that area. So it's basically to carry out that work in a supervised way, and obviously given the size of the water main, then the boreholes and that need to be done in a methodology that Welsh Water are happy with as well. So hence the reason why those two lengthy conditions are on there. Yeah, they're not only the main water main, but as many sites, there's a lot of sewer pipes running across the site as well.
But shouldn't Welsh Water share? Shouldn't they know exactly where they are, or is this pretty common practice?
Well,
yeah, it's pretty common practice. They don't know exactly the locations of the water mains. They've got an idea on a map. They've got maps to show where they are, but they don't actually know where they are. And it's quite a significant amount of money to actually carry out the survey work to find out where they are. Hence the reason why the developers want some security in terms of a planning permission in place before they do that work.
And one last question, Chair. You mentioned, Hugh, that if this planning application is approved, that they then have to go to the NRW. And I think you mentioned that was is it a floodplain application, it's called?
Yeah, it's basically an application to challenge the existing flood maps that they got. So the existing right. Flood map shows it in a C2 zone. after they've done the work, and only after they've done the work, then they can challenge that map to say, by doing these works, we have taken this site from a C2 zone to whatever zone it goes to, and therefore they're hoping that that will then allow them to submit an application for residential development that will be acceptable in principle because it's no longer in a flood zone.
But am I right in saying there's no guarantee then, after carrying out this work and perhaps spending an awful lot of money, that they would be guaranteed by the NRW that their challenge is accepted?
Well, they've done a huge amount of work on this in conjunction with Natural Resources Wales in terms of the flood modelling and everything. So based on the evidence they've provided to us and the details we've got from NRW, then they haven't got any objections to the proposal. So it's not as if they haven't been consulting with NRW on the proposals they submitted. So we're hoping, providing they develop it in accordance with the levels they provided, the depth of the swale and everything else, then NRW will see those details and they cross-link with the plans and the reports they've submitted, and it will be acceptable. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Oh, Gareth Lewis.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you for your presentation, Hugh. Continuing the theme of the flood map challenge, following the completion of the works, how long is that process likely to take before a decision is made by NRW?
Yeah, tricky one for me to answer. I think their flood map challenges at every quarter, so there's at least three months in between the quarter, and depends when they put it in the system. It's difficult to tell, but of course, to get to that point of a challenge, they really want to know whether the details they've submitted are acceptable as well. So there's a bit of negotiation to do with and consultation with NRW after the process, and obviously they will have to then, I'm assuming they will have to carry out a survey of what works they've done as well to make sure they coincide with the plans that were submitted. So yeah, it's not a short process probably, but yeah, it's and given the flood map challenges at the moment are I think it's every quarter, it could be a while off really.
Okay, thanks for that, Hugh. Focusing now on the access road into the site, from which roundabout will that extend from? Is it the bottom roundabout at Cloynereus or the roundabout further up at Upper Abercanig?
Oh, you're on mute too.
Sorry,
you're on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, off. Sorry. Yeah, I double clicked by mistake. Sorry. Yeah. It's you've got me on the roundabout names for Abercanig, but it's the one. It's the one closest to the building that's remaining at the bottom of the site, where the bridge crosses over to the Hoover site. So it's that little mini roundabout there, and it really goes straight off that mini roundabout to across the culvert into the site there.
Yeah, we can't see the slide here, but from what you explained, it sounds like the roundabout that was shown earlier on in your presentation.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Lovely, thanks. I think that's it from me. I don't have any further questions. Thanks, Hugh.
So has anyone else got a question?
No further questions, Chair.
Are there any comments?
No comments, Chair. Oh, Councillor Gareth Lewis, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Pleased to see this come before the planning committee. It's been some time coming. However, it is a large brownfield site. It's been derelict since the closure of the Arda factory, which was around about 8 years ago now. And if the application is completed, it will assist in building 160 to 180 dwellings on the site, which will, of course, significantly regenerate a former industrial area. It's also within the Hoover strategic regeneration area, which, given the Hoover legacy of the town, should and I believe is a flagship area for the council. So with that, I do thank you.
So are there any other comments?
No more comments, Chair.
No, the recommendation on page 12 is that it be approved. Would anyone like to propose the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I propose that. That's what I was intending to come on to. Yeah, I do indeed propose the application.
So is there a seconder?
I second that, Chair.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if we put it to the vote, then all those in favour of the motion?
Yeah, that's unanimous, Chair.
Lovely then. So, right, thanks very much. The next item on the agenda is item number 4, application number P200102. It's a proposed development, a change of use of a property from a dwelling to a children's residential home. And
Yeah, I'll take this one as well, Chair.
fair enough then, yes.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yeah, Councillor Gareth Richard has requested this application be reported to the committee. The care home would provide care for 4 children, young people aged between 11 and 18 years old. The home would be staffed by a minimum of 3 residential care workers during the day, with 2 carrying out sleep-in duties, ensuring 24-hour care provision. There would be little change in the property. However, 4 car parking spaces with a turning area would be provided to the front of the property. Dave, can we have the slides, please? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. So that's the application site at the top of the park. There, as you can see, it's a detached dwelling. The road fronts the site, and then you can see a little access road going to the west, which leads eventually to Riharas Park. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, there's the site in a little bit more detail. You can see the access down in the southwestern corner. 4 car parking spaces are proposed, as you can see on the plan there, with turning facilities within the site to enable cars to get out and leave in a forward gear. There was a row of trees which will come onto the front of the site, which have recently been felled, but we'll probably see them on the photographs. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, so there's the 2 layouts of existing layouts and the proposed layouts internally, floor plans. On the left-hand side, you'll see the existing floor plans. On the right-hand side, the proposed floor plans. You will see that there's hardly any difference in terms of the internal arrangements. But in terms of the bedrooms upstairs, there is a staff bedroom that's being proposed, which once was the master bedroom. But other than that, very little alterations internally. And if you look at it, it almost looks like a house both ways, really. Let's do a couple of photographs. We have got as I said, mentioned earlier, we've got a video which we can show you, but yeah, there's a couple of photographs of the house and the surroundings. So the top one shows the house, the bottom one shows the driveway, bottom left-hand side shows the driveway, top right shows the view up the streets towards the site, and the one in the middle there shows retaining wall to the front, which is subject to some comments in the report, and the bottom one shows the road above. So you can see on the first picture on the top left-hand corner, there's red brick houses there. That's the road that serves those red brick houses there. Okay. Yeah, this is a site. This is a view, top one from the bottom of the site looking up the street. If you look to the left, there's beyond the cars, there's a property there which is a white property. That's to the park. And for those of you who read the report, to the park is the other care, residential care home for children and young people in the area. So just bear in mind that location. The bottom left-hand photograph is a view of the site and the street going downwards, and the bottom right is the street towards the property at the top of the street there. I think, yeah, we'll start the video now. So it's just it's probably just over a minute, just a run through of the site. So there's the prop. I won't talk through it. I'll just let you see it, but it's pretty self-explanatory, really. I'm hoping it's going to go a bit quicker than that. Speed up there, is it? It doesn't look like it's loading brilliantly, to be honest, which is a shame because it's loaded quite well in the office. So I don't know whether it's because so many of us are on there, but I mean basically it takes us down the routes that we've shown with quite a lot of the photographs, really. So it doesn't really just a walk through those areas up and down the street, but we've seen them from the photographs anyway. So I'll just carry on with the Dave, I think there's another slide actually. Can you go on? Will it allow us to do it? Can you go on to the next slide? Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, that's just an aerial photograph. So you can see the site at the top of the site there, the application site. And just for reference, because I know it's mentioned in the report and it's mentioned by those objecting to the application, there's the existing care home to the park down the bottom of the site. So it gives you an idea of the distance between the two care homes in that location. Okay, I think that's it, Dave, isn't it?
Oh, thanks. Are there any questions?
Clive, can I just go through the, sorry.
Oh,
Jay,
yes.
I just got off going through the application.
Yeah.
So as a result of the consultation and the exercise undertaken, there were no objections raised by the engineering and traffic group leader or the environmental health manager. However, South Wales Police has raised an objection to the proposal. The main planning concerns raised by the police relate to the close proximity of an existing care home, which we've just shown on the slides, and the risk of increased levels of antisocial behaviour in the street. As a result of the publicity exercise undertaken, 20 letters of objection were received, some of them from the same household. A letter has also been received from Councillor Gareth Richards outlining the concerns of local residents and from Dawn Bowden MS. The objections received are summarised on pages 22 and 23 of the report and mainly concentrate on antisocial behaviour and crime. Objectors suggest that the proposal, given its close proximity to an existing care home at Tula Park, would exacerbate the existing problems in the area. Highway safety, in particular, greater flow of traffic in the street, insufficient off-road parking and greater demand for on-street parking. Impact on the amenities of surrounding residents. The main planning related concerns are overlooking and general noise and disturbance due to increased activities in the street. The application is located in the settlement boundary as identified by the local development plan. Therefore, the principle of the change of use is acceptable. It could be argued that the external works that have been carried out to the property have improved the visual appearance of the street. Nevertheless, the area would remain residential in character, and an additional care home would not lead to an oversaturation of such uses in the area. Indeed, the general characteristics of the proposed use, as we've shown on the floor plans, would be similar to a large family home. As highlighted on page 26 of the report, it is not considered that the traffic movements to the site would have an adverse impact on highway or pedestrian safety. It should also be noted that the off-road car parking facilities have recently been upgraded and will provide 4 spaces. The engineering and traffic group leader has therefore not raised any objection to the proposal. In terms of antisocial behaviour and crime, the concerns of residents are fully appreciated. However, it is impossible to predict the children and young people residing at the property would involve themselves in such behaviour. Therefore, after careful consideration and to enable an adequate assessment of the use, it is recommended that a temporary planning permission is granted for 2 years, subject to the conditions on pages 28 and 29 of the report. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Are there any questions? Oh, Clive Jones, yeah. Oh, you're on mute, Clive. Sorry.
No. I was just about to say that Declan's hand was up before mine, Chair.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Clive, you're a gentleman.
Oh yes, you've got your photo. Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't have everyone's photos sometimes. Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. You just a quick one. It is. You've already mentioned it, but I'll just read it out. So, you asked for input from different partners. South Wales Police have given their view. They've said South Wales Police. This is from 2 letters, one dated the 14th of July and one dated the 4th of August. And in both letters, they say, South Wales Police are disappointed that the developer in the above application has made no contact with South Wales Police to discuss our concerns. Obviously, that's quite alarming, that is, to be honest, from my point of view, and I don't know about other members. In view of this, the fact that there is already a care home in the streets where this new home is proposed, and the demands such establishments place on South Wales Police and our partner agencies as outlined above, I would object to this planning application. Can you just explain why you've ignored their concerns? Because to be honest, if something goes wrong, it's the police and the local councillors that are the ones that pick up the pieces that get called on the weekends, Friday night, Saturday night and Sunday. If you don't mind, cheers, Hugh.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Salmon. Yeah, my understanding is the applicants have met with the police and discussed the application with them. I think in the comments, actually, on page 21, it says the police have noted that they are impressed with the company's policies presented to them in a meeting and by the examples of the successes that they have had with other care homes. So they have met, probably after that letter, with the owners of the property. So yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one from a planning point of view, hence the reason why we're recommending that the application be permitted from a temporary 2-year permission, which means that during that time we can fully assess the concerns that are raised by local residents and see whether they come to fruition or not. Unfortunately, we haven't got that evidence before us because obviously the care home isn't there, so we don't know whether those children or young people in that care home are going to provide those concerns that local residents have highlighted in their responses. So we can't refuse a planning application based on something we don't know is going to happen, basically. So that's the struggles we have from a planning point of view. Whereas I take the concerns of the residents into consideration, but providing a temporary permission allows us then to look at those issues during those 2-year periods to see whether there is problems in the area and any subsequent application is refused, or there isn't any problems caused by the facility and therefore it can be granted a full permission. With regard to the police comments as well, the missing persons as well, obviously that is a matter for the police. It doesn't matter whether they're in this facility or another facility. The police will still have to do their duties in terms of looking after those young persons if they do go missing. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Lovely. Thank you, Hugh. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm very interested in it's the bottom of page 24. It's the use of planning conditions for development management circular, which it says where an application is made for permanent permission for use which may be potentially detrimental to existing uses nearby, but there is insufficient evidence to enable the authority to be sure of the character or effect. It might be appropriate to grant temporary permission in order to give the development a trial run. I can't remember, I've been on the planning committee for some years now. I can't remember this circular having been utilised before. And that leads to my question, which is in relation to the paragraph on the top of page 27. And it says, based on this lack of evidence, which here was just referred to, and advice in paragraph 5.27 of the circular, and stated that October 2014, the use of planning conditions for development management, it is considered a temporary permission for 2 years is appropriate. How then, Chair, who actually reviews that before the end of the 2-year term? Because we granted temporary permission, and after the question that Councillor Salmon has made, with there may or may not be issues with the police, etc., and they would have a record of this, I presume all that then would be taken into account as to whether permission is going to be made permanent. If that permission is not made permanent at that time, I presume that the developer would already have this there, would be able to appeal to the planning inspectorate. Is that correct?
Yeah, on your last point, that is correct. Yes. On your first point, the circular is a circular we use on every single planning decision. Basically, it highlights the when you can and when you can't, and why you need to use certain conditions. So we've highlighted it in this case because it is, as you said, I've been in Merthyr now for 7-ish years, and I haven't put forward an application for temporary permission. No, they're not often used, but they are used in relevant circumstances, and this is a circumstance that I feel it's relevant to impose such a condition, because in such circumstances, as I said earlier, we don't know whether the young people or young children in this facility are going to provide or going to cause the harm to local residents, as highlighted in the objection. So this is a way, this is a method of as it says in the circular, a trial run, really, just to see whether those issues come to fruition or not. If they are, they'll be recorded to us by local residents, obviously, local ward members and the police. But they have to be evidence, and they have to relate to this property. And from a planning point of view, we need to take them into account. So the issue is we'll get a raft of evidence through those 2 years related to this property, if those problems exist there, and then we have to decipher whether those objections that are coming in actually, one, do they relate to this property, or are they just general problems in the area, and two, if they do relate to this property, would they result in an adverse impact on neighbouring residents, which will result in a refusal of planning application. Yeah, but they have got a right to appeal if we refuse an application after the 2 years. Yes, they've got a right to appeal to any refusal. In fact, they've got a right to appeal on any application and conditions on any application anyway. So, yeah.
So, at what stage then would there be a further report coming to the planning committee before the 2-year period is up, or when the 2-year period has been exhausted? Will this come before us again at that time, or depends on the circumstances? Is it a matter that might have to be called in by one of the local ward members?
Yeah. So it'll result in, obviously they'll need to submit an application before the 2 years, because if they don't, then they're in breach of the condition of the application, which says they got to, from the date they start, they got to vacate the premises within that 2 years. So it has to be submitted before the 2 years is up. Yeah, it'll start out as a delegated matter because it falls within the delegated scheme, and if there are concerns, then yeah, ward members or any members can call it back to committee.
Thank you.
Kevin Gibbs, I think, who's next now.
Thank you, Chair. Hugh, just got two questions. In relation to the existing care facility at number 2, how many residents do they have there, and what age ranges are they?
Yes, I know they're children and young persons, but I'm not sure of the numbers, to be honest. I'm not sure of the age range. I suppose it's a care facility, so I suppose they could be any age range, because that's the facility. There's no control over that in the planning in the planning permissions, or lack of them for that site.
Do you know, would you be able to give us a guesstimate, because not knowing the area, what size property is number 2 of the park? We're looking at a 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, 3-bedroom house, or do we have we got any ideas?
I think it's a similar size property. Looking from the outside, I haven't been in there, I haven't got any details of it, but it looks a similar size property to me. But given the comments from local residents, I suspect the children or young people that are living there are of a similar age, because they talk about the interaction between the 2 care homes. So I'm assuming they would be of a similar age range to what we got here.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to get an idea of how many young people in total we'd be talking about in over these 2 sites. My next question is obviously initially the police gave a very strong objection because of the antisocial behaviour in the area. What crime stats have we got that are actually directly attributed to the residents of number 2, the park?
Yes, it was a very good question. I haven't received any evidence in terms of whether they're attributed to the park. It's a very good question, because it links back to our temporary use position as well, because anyone can say there's a problem from this property, but as you quite rightly point out, you need the evidence to suggest that it is the young children or young people that are living in that property that are carrying out the problems, and so I think it's we haven't got any evidence. All we got is objections from local residents saying that is the problem from that facility, but there isn't any evidence to say it's from the police or anyone to say it's specifically that property, or any dates when it's happened, or what has been the crimes committed and things like that. So we haven't got any evidence.
Yeah. So there's no proof then that there is actually antisocial behaviour coming from number 2 of the park. So there's no evidence that it would occur in this property, for example. And I would have thought if there was any evidence, the police would have given us at least some sort of number of stats to say why there's this feeling of antisocial behaviour there from the other care facility. So no evidence. Okay, thank you, Hugh. That's me done. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Malcolm.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, most of my points have been covered already, but just one last thing. If we were minded to grant a temporary 2-year permission on this site, can that permission be revoked within the 2 years if there's evidence of a lot of problems with the site, or is it just 2 years and that's it?
Yeah, good question, Councillor. But no, it has to be the 2 years. We can't. Obviously, if there are issues within that 2-year process, and then it could be police matters, or it could be our environmental health department to look at noise and disturbance issues on that. But from a planning point of view, they've got a 2-year permission to carry out that facility in that location. Yeah.
Has anyone else got any questions? No.
No further questions, Chair.
Any comments? Oh, Clive?
Clive.
Thank you. This is not an easy application, or planning applications are never easy to, because the reports we get are quite comprehensive. But in the absence of number one, any evidence, and following Councillor Gibbs' question, any statistical evidence from the South Wales Police or others about the other property, it's difficult to, for example, to say, well, we can turn this application down, and then on what grounds are you talking about? And I think that whenever this comes, and I suspect that it may come before us in 2 years, we need, and if it comes to committee, we need all the statistical evidence from everyone there logged properly over those 2 years. And then it'll be for the planning committee to make their decision as to whether to grant this on a permanent basis. Thank you.
Right. I think Councillor Goldsworthy was next. Was that Ernie? Oh.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Right, yeah, I got a few things I'd like to say. First of all, I'd like to give you the background to the area, because I think that doesn't really come through on the reports and on the plans, to be honest. I just go through it. The area of Trearis in Toynagarrig is a very, very steep hill. The street known as the Park is on the junction in Toynagarrig. This is also a very steep hill in that area. There are houses on both sides of the street and also a cul-de-sac. You know, a lot of problems there, I'm sure. It is also connected to a farm and also a footpath to Trearis Park. Plenty going on there. At the bottom end of Toynagarrig, there's also a church. There's plenty of things going on. The street known as the Park is a residential area and also has a children's residential home. I believe there is enough of a problem already before a new business is to be approved. I believe there is a highway safety problem and an amenity problem as they propose to employ 10 new staff. On top of everything, there's an objection to South Wales Police. I know there's a few problems with there, but it's enough that for the police are really concerned about it. In this action, I would like to say that the propose to move refuse to this application.
Right, thanks. Malcolm? Oh, you've got...
Thank you. Yeah, I'm muted now. Yeah, if this was a full permanent application we were looking at, I'd have much more reservations. But given that we've got this 2-year period to assess the situation, personally, I think I would be voting in favour of the application, given that it's for 2 years. As I say, if it was permanent, I'd have more reservations.
Has anyone else got any comments to make?
No further comments, Chair.
The recommendation on page 28 is that it be approved, well, on a temporary basis. So would someone like to propose the motion?
Ernie, you've still got your hand up.
So, who's got?
Ernie, you've still got your hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chair. I didn't realise. I thought I'd already made a move to refuse.
Yeah, normally we.
Yeah, we need to take the.
Yes, we need
first. We need to vote on the recommendation first.
Recommendation, yes. So I'll propose that the recommendation be approved. Is there a seconder? Malcolm, are you seconding it? Yeah,
Yes,
Malcolm
yeah.
seconding it. So if we take it to the vote, all those in favour, raise your hand.
Okay, and can we have those against?
So if you lower your hands now. And were there
Councillor
any
Salmon, can you lower your hand, please?
Yeah. Were there any abstentions?
Well, we haven't had the against yet.
Oh,
Chair.
I beg your pardon, yeah.
That was my hand up for against.
Right,
Yes.
sorry,
Yeah.
Declan.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there was a second hand up as well.
Ernie's hand hasn't come up. I'm assuming is again. There we go.
There we go. So there's no abstentions then.
Fair enough then. So the recommendation is approved. Thanks. But the next item on the agenda, application P200176, convert an existing 4-bedroom property into a 1-bedroom flat and 2-bedroom flats. There's alterations to the external appearance as well, with 2 balconies. So Hugh was taking this report, are you?
Yes, thanks, Chair. Thank you. Yeah, Councillor Andrew Barry has requested this application be reported to committee. Just go through the slides now if you can. Thanks, Dave. I'm hoping we'll get the video working on this one as well. Yeah, okay, so there's the applications. Everyone see that? Yeah. There's the application site outlined in red. And there's an aerial view of it. Can you show where it is on the video cursor or not? Yeah, so yeah, that's it. So his cursor, Dave's cursor is on the, yeah, there we go. So that's the application site there. As you can see, it's a area of terraced and detached properties, quite substantial properties in the area. A one-way street going from north to south. So fairly small plans, but these are the existing elevations. So you can see there is a flat already, a 2-bedroom flat at the lower ground level, which exists, and then a 4-bedroom property on ground floor, first floor, and within the roof space there's an extra bedroom. You can see there's a fairly substantial 2-storey extension to the rear of the property there. So the proposal is then obviously to keep the existing flat at ground floor, and then to convert the low ground floor existing flat to be kept at ground floor. There's a proposal for a new 1-bedroom flat, and then at first floor and within the roof there's a second flat with 2 bedrooms. There's a car parking area to be provided at the front for 2 car parking spaces and a bin store. And at the rear of the property there, you can see there's alterations to the external of the property to provide some balconies at ground and first floor. You probably can't read it, but on the annotations there, those large glazed areas to the balconies are to be 1.7 metre high obscure glazed windows to prevent any overlooking to neighbours. But as you can see from the elevation, there isn't any overlooking to the neighbours to the right hand side, because their view was obscured by the 2-storey extension, and the plot to the left hand side of the rear elevation is actually a plot. There's no house there at the moment. Okay, thanks, Dave. So that's the property from the front. As you can see, 2-storey at the front and it's 3-storey at the back. There's the wall to the front of the property where which will be taken down, and an additional car parking spaces put in there. The garage you can see there isn't part of the application site for this application. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, and we'll start the video. So hopefully, yeah, So as you can see, this is taking you up towards the application property. New residential properties there, fairly substantial properties with parking in garages to the front. WL lines on one side of the road, parking and parking restrictions for permit parkers on the other side. Someone illegally parking there on the left. So that those are the properties on the left, and then the application site as you come back on your right hand side, right in front of you there. And that's the area for the car parking to the front, and down the side access there is where you enter the existing two-bedroomed flat at lower ground floor level. The view back up the streets.
That's it.
Yeah, the property's in a conservation area. So is there any more slides there?
No, that's it.
Okay, so yeah, as a result of the consultation exercise undertaken, no objections have been received. As a result of the publicity exercise, 4 letters of objection have been received, which are summarised on pages 33 and 34 of the report. The main planning issues raised are too many properties have been converted into flats in the area, which has an impact on the character of the conservation area, the antisocial behaviour from such facilities, parking problems in the streets, overlooking from the rear balconies. I'd say that's a brief summary of the objections. The application is located in the settlement boundary as identified in the local development plan. Therefore, the principle of the change of use to 2 flats is acceptable. The external alterations, which are mainly to the rear of the property, are acceptable and will preserve the character and appearance of the conservation area. Subject to the recommendation condition 4, the balconies would also not result in significant overlooking. This condition, as you will note, secures the obscurity of the side and the front of the balconies. The proposal should not result in a development which causes significant noise or disturbance to neighbouring residents above that which would occur from the existing use of the property. Only 1 additional residential unit is proposed, in addition to the number of bedrooms serving the flats. In addition, the number of bedrooms serving the flats would be 3, 1 less than a 4-bedroom property they would replace. Antisocial behaviour is a matter for the police and/or environmental health. Neither are objecting to this application. In terms of parking, additional parking is provided at the front of the property. It is also noted that the engineer and traffic group leader has not objected to the application. Therefore, it is recommended for permission, subject to the conditions highlighted on page 38 of the report. Thank you, Chair.
Are there any questions? John Thomas?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Hugh, for the report. When you said that there's an existing ground floor flat in our property at the moment, is that from when the people were living there, because they used to live in the basement? Is there anyone living there actually now or not?
I don't know the answer to that, but there's definitely a flat at the ground floor level. But I don't know whether there's anyone living there or not. The fact of the matter is from a planning point of view, it's a flat that can be accommodated.
Yes, I say that's where the old people used to live. Like I knew the ones who used to live there.
Right.
Yeah. My next question is on page 34. I don't know if you've got the paper copies, but it's the first black dot. And where you mentioned it's a 1-bedroom and two-bedroom flats. One of the residents who has been
in contact with Councillor Barry. They have looked in depth into this, and on the plans that they have seen, it's actually a HMO. Have you got any idea on that, please?
Yeah, the application is specifically for change of uses to flats which fall within a C3 use class. A HMO falls in a different use class, which is C4, and hasn't been applied for in these circumstances. The application relates to two flats for C3 uses. So if it were to be used as a HMO, then it would need planning permission to change the use from a C3 to a C4 use, which is a HMO use.
Right, lovely, thanks. Just one other one then. Where we've had objections regarding antisocial behaviour from the existing flats, and as you could see from the video there, the one is right opposite this property, the Penland Guest House, which houses the homeless. Police are there every day. Have the police been informed? Because I couldn't see anything on the consultation side of it. Have they been informed that there's going to be flats, or do they not have to be informed?
Yeah, they don't have to be informed. In fact, they wasn't informed on the previous application we discussed. They picked that application up from a weekly list that they get every week, the same as you, the same weekly list that you get, and they can make comments if they want to on any application, but they're not specifically consulted. They're not a statutory consultation team for such applications. So yeah, so I mean, it goes back to the previous case, really, is that we have no evidence to suggest that people moving into these flats are going to cause antisocial behaviour in the area. So, I mean, and if they do, then that is a matter for obviously the police to look at, or environmental health if there's noise disturbance there, like any other property that someone purchases.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that, Hugh. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? No. Are there any comments?
I
Chair,
did put my hand up, Chair.
Oh, I can't see everyone on the screen yet.
Okay. Just to confirm, currently there's 2 units of accommodation in this building, and if we approve this, there'll still be 2 units of accommodation. So that's, and the second question, on the video, it looked to me as if there was already existing room to put cars in the front of the property. So that's not going to change. They'll still, whoever's there will still have room to put the cars on the property, because obviously the front garden walls have been taken down and they can drive in off the road. And to follow up Councillor Thomas's query, is the building empty at the moment?
Yeah, sorry, first question, Councillor Jones. There's an existing 4-bedroom property there and a flat, which is 2 units, and the proposal is to provide, in place of the 4-bedroom house, 2 flats. So which will result in 3 flats in the property. So it's an additional unit, residential unit. The car parking at the front is to be widened. So yeah, you could argue you can get a car parking space on the front of the property, but it's to be widened to create space for 2 car parking areas, and also the provision of a bin store to the front of the property there. With regard to your question whether it's empty, I can't answer that, but the issue is it's a planning unit of a residential property for 4 bedrooms and a flat, and that's what we're considering the application on.
So, sorry, just to clarify again what Councillor Thomas has asked for, what qualifies as a HMO, house of multiple occupation, more than 3 flats?
Yeah, we shouldn't mix up flats and HMOs. They are 2 separate things. A flat is basically, well, as I said, it falls in a different use class to a HMO. and a flat is usually a family or people living together that know each other. A HMO are a group of people living in an accommodation that don't know each other, for want of a better word. And there's different levels of HMOs as well. So you get a C4 use class is 3 to 6 people living in a household that are unrelated. And above 6 then becomes what's called a sui generis use, which doesn't fall within any specific use class, which then means you can't change of any use to that use anyway. So yeah, so this application is specifically for a C3 use class flat. It's not for a C4 use class HMO.
Thank you.
Councillor Thomas, have you got another question? His hand is up.
Yes, please, Chair.
There.
Thank you. Yeah, with regard to the parking here at the front, then you say there's going to be for 2. If you look to the left under the main window there's like a roof light in the floor for the downstairs basement. What will happen then with the light situation for that basement flat?
Yeah, sorry. As far as I'm aware, there's windows in the back of the property as well, which light the flat. But again, we're not looking at the issue for the flat at the bottom is an issue for the owner of the property themselves. It's not something that would be a matter for the planning department to consider under this application.
So, are there any more questions? No. Are there any comments? Well, if there's no comments, the recommendation.
Live.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, sorry, John. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks, Chair. Yeah. Just to go back to the scenario we had with 3 Union Street, really, and Councillor Clive Jones brought up a very valid point at that time when he said, if this property is allowed to be changed into, it was like a let premises, that this would open the floodgates for the area, and any applications come in, they could be granted, and this is the way it's going for that area, unfortunately, of the town ward. So, to be honest with you, I am against this, and I will be not voted with the recommendation. Sorry. Thank you.
No. Are there any other comments?
Yeah, Councillor Chaplin.
Oh, Councillor Chaplin. Right, sorry. Councillor Chaplin? I can't see.
Hi, Chair. Sorry, Chair. I dropped out for a minute, so based on that, I'll be able to take part in the vote.
No. Did you have any comments?
Oh, no. I'm just making a point that I can't vote, okay? I sort of dropped out for a minute, yeah.
Fair enough then, lovely. So the recommendation on page 38 is that this application be approved. Is someone proposing it? Well, I'll propose the motion. Is there a seconder?
I'll second, Chair.
There's a seconder. So if we put it to the vote then, all those in favour?
Okay.
Right.
7.
Right. If you all lower your hands, then all those against. And that's everyone voted there then?
Everyone's voted. It's carried, Chair.
So the motion was carried. Okay, thanks.
Sorry, Chair, I haven't voted.
Oh.
Right, let's have a look. We had 7 for
I'm abstaining.
And 4 against. That's 11.
I'm
Who
abstaining.
hasn't voted?
6-4, I think. 6-4
It
and
was
4 against.
6-4, was it? 4 against, so there is 1 missing, yes.
Yeah, so the motion...
Chair, I know the motion's not over, but I'm abstaining.
Fair enough.
So can we be clear that we got 6 in favour, 4 against and 1 abstention?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, there. Didn't Councillor David Chaplin say he couldn't vote? So that
Well,
It was 6-4, 3 against, 1 abstention, and David Chaplin couldn't vote.
okay, lovely.
right, yeah, that's 11. Okay.
Thanks. Well, the next items on the agenda, item 6 to 16, essentially they're all information reports. I noticed the only one that went against the council was Union Street, but item 17 is a delegated report. So item number 18, any other business deemed urgent. I've not got any. So no one's got any other comments? No? Oh, well, that's thank you for all attending today. We're getting quite good on Teams now, I think, you know, so have a nice night anyway. Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks all. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Chair.
Bye.
Evening all.
Take care.
Bye.